What's going on, beautiful people? Machiavelli Mills TV. So it appears that ESPN First Take, y'all know the show that centers around Stephen A. Smith and formerly Max Kellerman, his former co-host, right? The ratings for this show have plummeted since Max Kellerman's departure or removal, I shall say. The show has taken a dive in the ratings, right? And a lot of people have felt like this is karma for what Stephen A. Smith did. Now, for those who don't know what I'm talking about 3 weeks ago, I made a video discussing how Stephen A. Smith, the head host of the show, he basically came on live radio and admitted that he wanted Max Kellerman gone from the show because he felt like the numbers involving the ratings suggested that a change needed to be made on ESPN First Take. Now, Stephen A. Smith took it upon himself to interpret the data as saying, hey, Max Kellerman needs to be gone. He interpreted the data as saying Max Kellerman needs to be removed from the show, and he took it to the higher ups in order to make that happen. When I found that out, I felt like that was some sucker stuff on his part. I felt like it was weak for him to do that. And I felt like, damn, that's kind of crazy how one employee has that type of power to go and speak to the higher ups, and then a person is removed from the show with the snap of a finger. I'm like, damn, if I was an ESPN employee, I would feel highly uncomfortable with that, right? Now, I say that while knowing that Stephen A. Smith does a lot for ESPN. He drives in a lot of viewership and a lot of ratings for the network, but at the same time, it's like, damn, if all it takes is for him to go up and tell somebody, hey, he needs to be gone, and he gets moved to a whole nother show, I feel like that's an uncomfortable situation. Nonetheless, right, the show has gone on, I think, about 3 or 4 weeks, about 3 weeks. The show has gone on without Max Kellerman, and I've noticed that, well, not I've noticed, but it's been basically indicated that the show has experienced an extreme or significant dip in viewership, right? The show is now losing out to shows like Get Up, NFL Live, Pardon the Interruption, and Around the Horn. And if anybody that knows anything about ESPN First Take, ESPN First Take used to smoke all these shows all the time like it wasn't nothing. They used to get them up out of there with the quickness. Even after Skip Bayless's removal and Max Kellerman came on to the show, ESPN First Take always was the #1 show on ESPN, right? So now they're losing to Get Up, NFL Live, PTI, and Around the Horn. They're currently fifth in the ratings on the network, which shows that either one, Max Kellerman was a lot more valued than what Stephen A. Smith indicated, or two, it's a rebellious act from the viewing audience as they feel like it was some sucker stuff that Stephen A. Smith pulled in the first place, so they don't want to support the show without Max Kellerman, right? Either way it goes, man, I feel like the chemistry on the show is still not popping without Max Kellerman. Honestly, I mean, you got Michael Irvin in there, you got Tim Tebow in there, but it's not making the show become more attractive to people. You know what I mean? That show hasn't produced the chemistry of a Shannon Sharpe and a Skip Bayless by any stretch of the imagination. I think he thought bringing a former football player on there like Michael Irvin, if that formula was going to work. You know, Michael does a whole lot of hollering and yelling, but Stephen A. Smith does the same thing. So it's like, I don't know how much he thought that was going to pop. I don't know if he thought the fans from Tebow Mania was going to latch on to the show, but the show is still not as interesting. It's not as interesting as it was when Max was there. Why? Because Max brought nuanced conversation to the show. I feel like he brought a lot of great commentary to social issues going on in the world, and we appreciated his dialogue and his anecdotal stories about certain things in order to relay a message. I felt like Max Kellerman went perfectly, not as perfect as Skip Bayless, but I felt like he worked very, very well with Stephen A. Smith. But I feel like Stephen A. Smith failed to look into the mirror and recognize that, hey, if the show's viewership or ratings is not where I want it to be, if we aren't #1 all across the board at other networks, especially if they were comparing it to Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless, if they weren't #1 like they wanted it to be, he should have taken some accountability for that and say, what? Okay, so I see things have taken a dive. What can I do better to help the show boost the morale of the show or to boost the significance of the show? I felt like he put it all on the fact that, hey, people wanted to see a fresh face. They were getting tired of Max Kellerman and him on TV. He felt like Stephen A. Smith felt like their chemistry was long gone. It fizzled out, and he needed something new and refreshing. Sometimes it's not all about just replacing people. It's not. Sometimes it's about changing up the format. It's about changing up the topics. Stop talking about, the same 5 topics every single day or every other day. Have some more interesting conversation and maybe bring some other people on. It's not just removing somebody, but just bringing some other people in the fold on certain topics, and maybe that could have brought a flair back to the show, or the flair that Stephen A. Smith was looking for, right? But the ratings dropping, I don't know if it's some karma or whatever, but like, it just shows that I think Max was really a beloved individual on that show. I really do, man. I think that Max, like I said, Max's value was extremely underrated, and I think Stephen A. Smith may have overlooked Max's value, right? Even beyond boxing talk. Like I said, Max brought interesting commentary when it came to social issues in America. And I know a lot of people like to complain and say ESPN was starting to feel like the news or The View or all these others. I want to watch some people were saying if I want to talk about social issues, I will watch the news or CNN or so on and so forth. But let me tell you something, right? People can talk about things going on in the real world. Sports is a microcosm of society itself, right? So a lot of things that play out in society can play out in the sports realm. So they were going to talk about racial issues, racial injustice, social issues all across the board on the show, and I had no problem with doing so. I had no problem with them doing so, but I felt like Max brought an interesting perspective and interesting conversation to the show where you like, damn, that felt real, man. That felt like that was some dope stuff, right? But I felt like the line was drawn at some point, maybe. Some people insinuated they felt like this was the issue when Terrell Owens went on the show and said, like, hey, sometimes it feel like Max Kellerman is blacker than you, Stephen A., right? And Stephen A. Smith rightfully got pissed because I don't like when black people try to give a non-black person a black card over a black person or whatever. Or try to make it seem like a non-black person is black now because they got issues they have sentiments that we agree with. But nonetheless, Stephen A. Smith was finding himself on the wrong side of history regarding comments about Colin Kaepernick, where Max Kellerman was defending Colin Kaepernick, and basically he was doing it not just to do it. He was coming with hard facts. He was coming with a brilliant conversation. He was coming with great points that a lot of people in the black community appreciated, and they didn't appreciate how Stephen A. Smith, on the other hand, was talking down on Colin Kaepernick when he was protesting against police brutality, right? So I think that the tide kind of shifted with that whole incident, and maybe Stephen A. Smith may have felt some type of way. I don't know, right? I grew up watching Stephen A. Smith all the time when he had Quite Frankly and all of that. Looked up to his journalism abilities and all the things that he brought to that network, and I always recognized the flavor that he brought to the show when he first came on, and all the hard work that he does. But at the same time, I didn't respect his move by going to the higher ups and getting Max Kellerman out of there. Like, I just didn't agree with that at all. And I believe that the fans of the show or the network, they feel the exact same way, man. Yeah, man, I think until ESPN First Take figures out a new formula, until they bring on another co-host that is highly, highly entertaining and knowledgeable, or the show changes the way it treats employees, I don't see the ratings changing anytime soon, to be honest, man. And unless all those three things happen, or one or two of those three things happen, either they figure out a new formula, they bring on another co-host that is highly entertaining and knowledgeable, or the show changes the way it treats the other co-hosts outside of Stephen A. Smith, because I feel like that was a bogus move for them to even do that, right? Until something changes on that spectrum, I believe that the ratings may stay the same, unfortunately, right? And I don't wish down on no man. I don't wish down on nobody to just be failing and not have no success or whatever. I don't wish nothing bad on Stephen A. Smith, but I feel like that just wasn't a solid move for him to do that, man. I feel like to get Max up out of there in that way, for it to be sour like that, man, yeah, man, it's just, I didn't agree with that at all. Going to the higher ups, I thought that was very, very lame. I thought it was corny. It was honest for him to admit that he got Max Kellerman out of there. He wanted Max Kellerman gone. I thought it was honest, so I guess it wouldn't be speculation, but I just feel like, man, it wasn't solid, man. And I feel like he should have looked himself in the mirror and tried to sit down with Max and come out with a new format in order to get the show back to the level of prominence he wanted it to be at. rather than just say, hey, Max, you the problem, you gotta go. Like, nah, bro, I didn't think that's how it's supposed to work. But hey, the people have spoken. Now ESPN First Take is 5th on the network. You know what I'm saying? Again, losing the NFL Live, PTI, Around the Horn. Bro, I ain't watched Around the Horn used to be my show. With Tony Reale, Woody Page, Kevin Blackstone, J.A. Adonde, you know, Jay Mariotti, all these other people. I haven't watched that show since I was a kid. And they beating out ESPN First Take. Get Up is beating First Take. Like, I was like, man, that's saying something, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this, man. Machiavelli Mills TV. I appreciate y'all for watching. Drop the comments in the comment section below. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video. I'm out. Peace.